Yeah. So, I think it would be great when to send just a quick email, just summarizing what you went over. And here's what's cool is at the beginning, you can tell them this. You can say, so whenever we wrap up here today, don't worry, I'll send you an email summarizing everything we went over. They literally will go like this. Oh, okay, nice. That's cool. I'm going to get a follow-up email summarizing everything. But what I would say is that my business card, it'll actually be in the email as well, all my information you're going to have. But they should already have that because you emailed them the Zoom link, and all your stuff should have been on your email from the Zoom link as well. So the next thing though is I would pull up my ID badge showing them I'm a union member as well. I'm with the local 277, American Income. Here's my license. I'm a licensed professional. I'm a licensed professional through the state. And then here's a little bit about our company. And I'd pull up that slide for the company. That'd be the first few things I would do is just to get them to know who I am and what the company that they're with. Then I would build the rapport. Build the rapport. We all know the 5 rapport building questions. I'd fly through to building the rapport and then letting them know why we're there. So basically you're telling them why our company exists. So why does our company exist? Here's why. If every company and every organization out there had permanent benefits for their members, we would not be in business. If everybody had guaranteed permanent benefits forever, we'd not be in business. The reason we're contracted through these organizations is because all their members have benefits. That's the reason why we're contracted. So remember, at the end, if they ever try and give you a rebuttal of, oh, I already have coverage through work. Well, you could say, I understand where you're at, Joe. But if you could remember back, why we're actually here, the main reason why we're here is because you have coverage through work, right? Because what happens to those workplace benefits whenever you quit, get fired, or retire is they go away. So at the beginning, we break that down for them. So like I said, Joe, the reason I'm here today is your president, John Smith, contracted through us to provide all the members with guaranteed permanent benefits. What they found is that everybody typically has benefits through their employer. And what they found is whenever they leave that company, whether they quit, get fired, or retire, what typically happens to those benefits? They go away. So that's why our company was contracted through your organization to make sure that all the members had guaranteed permanent life benefits. So today, Joe, my job will be to go over the 4 no-cost benefits they set up for you, as well as those additional benefits that you have to qualify for. Like I said, you do what you want with those. My job is to get the information to you and answer any questions for you. So I think, pretty much regardless of who I meet with, I always like to establish that beginning part. Regardless, like even if it was a guy who called in and said, I want to buy life insurance, just fill me out an application. You know what? Part of my job to give him good service is to get to know the guy a little bit, because he might call me up and say, I want 100,000, but he's not the professional. I might dig a little bit deeper and find that he don't need 100,000. I might find out he might need something completely different than what he thought he needed. And my job will be to educate him on that. And I wouldn't be able to educate him on that if I didn't get to know him a little bit better, and he got to know me. Because remember, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's a big part of the whole process is having that empathy and letting them know you care, and you're really there to talk to them, listen to them, get to know them too. So that's a big part of it. But after I established that, I established the professionalism and let them know I'm there to do a job. So I play the introduction video. If it was a policy holder, there's a video you play for a policy holder. If there is a hard card, you play the introduction hard card video. I always play that because it's the only commercial they're ever going to see for our company. That's it. We don't have commercials. There's nothing out there. It's the only chance these people will ever see a commercial from our company. And who knows, my idea is this. One day they may see, how come I see commercials for all these other companies, but I never see commercials for my company? And I remind them, I say, this is the only commercial. You're never going to see a commercial or a billboard or advertisement for our company at all. Just so you know, Joe, we don't spend any money or let's just say waste any money on advertising. If you think about it, all those other companies out there, you're going to see their name all the time. They literally spend millions of dollars, hundreds of millions, and adds up to billions over the years of advertising dollars. Super Bowl commercials. And I mean, some of them are sponsoring NASCARs. I couldn't even imagine. And at the end of the day, you know what they found out? Who do you think really has to pay for all that? Where do you think them companies are getting the money for those ads? It's from the policy holders. So we take all the money that other companies normally would waste on advertising and they put them right back into our programs. That's why, our members are able to take advantage of their benefits at the union discounted rates. Because we don't have to have any overhead for that. So like I said, this will be the only commercial we probably ever see, and it's a really quick one. So I'll play this for you real quick. And I'll play it for them. And then we go over to no cost benefits. The no cost benefits is just a great way for us to ease into things, build rapport, show we're professional, show we're organized, or it's the way for you to do the opposite. It's a way for you to rush through things, show you're disorganized, you know what I mean? And not build any trust with them. So I think it's the small things sometimes when you show that you're diligent, when you show that you're thorough, when you show that you care for the clients about the small things. I think it shows that they're going to trust that you can handle and you're going to take care of the big things for them as well. So sometimes when they ask a question and you kind of disregard it or say, it's not important. Listen, it might not be important, but for them at that time it was important. So try not to disregard some of those things either. But sliding through, some of them, they literally might buy the company, buy the product, and buy everything just because they bought the Child Safe program and they bought into the way that you approached it and the way that you handled it. And that might seal the whole deal. You never know. So you want to handle every single step through the whole sales process, with diligence and doing the script. But let's get into the after we go through the no cost benefits. Okay, we'll just fly through the no cost. Just remember though, some people think, oh man, if I have to get a bunch of referrals off them, it's going to be like harder for me to get a sell at the end. Actually, if you get referrals, it's easier to get a sell. The referrals is one of the first sales you make in the home. If you collect a bunch of referrals, that means they're sold on you at some level to give you a bunch of names, right? So I always would tell myself, the more referrals I collect through the no cost, typically the higher chance I have of selling them at the end. Is always what I would tell myself. I don't know if that's true at all, I don't know what the correlation is, but I would just tell myself that. And then, obviously the more yeses we get going into this thing, so this is where you want to start taking control throughout the presentation, letting them know, does this make sense to you, Joe, so far? Can you see why this set this up for you guys? Okay, great. The next thing we're going to handle is this. Are we on the same page so far? Do you have any questions? Does this make sense to you? Okay, the next thing is going to be, you're going to love this next benefit. This is going to take care of anything out of pocket for you that you may coming out of for your health services. This is brand new, literally just came out last month, cutting edge advanced technology for you and your family. Here, let me go over it for you. And I'll go over the AIL benefits card with them, and the whole time though, you want to just maintain the control, the passion, obviously. But like I will slow down and ask them, you got any questions? Are we on the same page so far? Because I honestly want to know if we are on the same page so far. But also it is a tie down. So there's two things that go into when you're asking them those tie down questions. For me, I don't want to just talk over someone, talk through someone. By the end, they're nodding their head, just saying, yeah, but they really didn't understand what I was saying. So I want to make sure, like, hey, are we good so far? If not, I'll go back and go over it again. I want to make sure before I move on, you're good, So no cost benefits are done. Then we slide into the life insurance. Now all of that right there is for a lead. We got a lead, right? Called the lead, got them booked, got into our presentation. We did the first half of the presentation. Let me go back real quick before we dive into this, because I think that we're missing something on the connection part. We're trying to connect with people, right? This is a contact sport. So the more people that we call, the more people we're going to talk to. It's guaranteed to happen. But the thing is now is when we talk to these people, we have to next set them. Now, we're not going to set everybody that we talk to. So we got to understand that from the beginning. You're not going to set everybody that you talk to. It's just not going to happen. Some people are going to set for you today. Some people are going to set tomorrow. Some people are going to set for Saturday. Some people you're not going to be able to set, and you're going to have to say, okay, I'm pretty tied up. The next time I'm in your area, I'll give you a call. Would it be okay to give you a call next week? Would you say Tuesday afternoon would work? Okay, great. And if I could have booked them, I would book them for another phone call to book them. You know what I mean? If you can't set them on the phone, set them for another time to set them on the phone. Just a side note. So if I can't catch somebody today to book them for Saturday and they're just like, I don't know what my schedule is, I'll say, you know what? My schedule's jam-packed too. It would be pretty tough to get us to meet up this week. But, you know, you're one of the last members I got to get the benefits over to. Once we get these over to you, Joe, you and your wife will be squared away, and we'll get you guys all taken care of. Like I said, for tomorrow, like I said, next week, I have much more availability. Would it be okay if I gave you a phone call next week, let's say sometime on Tuesday afternoon? 9 times out of 10, they're going to say, sure. They're going to say, sure. Give me a call next week. So that's something you could always keep in your back pocket, okay? Now, some people aren't going to book with us, and that's okay. You can't let them ruin the ones that want to book with us, and they need to book with us. And some people need to book with us, but they don't get it, and we can't let them brush us off like we're not important. Some people are literally going to act like we're not important. And you want to know why? They don't understand, and I don't blame them. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. But I'm not going to allow that be an excuse. Some people don't know why they need to meet with me until I get to their house, until I sit down with them, until I go over everything. And by the end, they say, man, I honestly was nervous about meeting with you today. I didn't know what this was going to be. I didn't want somebody coming over to my house. I was nervous about that. But I'm so glad that I did not call you and cancel this. And when that lady told me that, I knew that she wasn't the only one. I knew that probably 50% of the people that want to meet with me, that they end up don't want to meet with me because of anxiety for some weird, odd reasons. Everybody has their own things, you know. Somebody don't want somebody in their home. They feel like they're going to steal your identity. They think it's over here. They think they're going to get sold something. Like, people are crazy, you know. So, we got to be able to understand that they do have this anxiety. But if they don't go, it's going to be worse than if they cancel. And not letting them brush you off on these appointments. I'm telling you, like, they feel like going shopping is more important. Like, I can't meet you tomorrow. I got to go shopping. Like, let's honestly think about that. Shopping for what? They're going to go to Walmart, right? And who knows what if they're going to go shopping, they should be shopping for life insurance for their family. So they will literally brush you off for things that are not as important as you. So just remember, you're busy, you're important, and you're in control, you know, when you're on the phones. And know who's serious, they can't meet with you, and know who's not serious, that they can't meet with you. Some people are serious, like they're not going to be in town. And now you don't sound like you sound like a salesperson. You sound bad. You don't sound good. The person literally told you, oh yeah, man, we got an RV this Friday. We're going on a 2-week camping trip to the Appalachian Mountains, right? And instead of you understanding, like, but here's what I would do. I'd say, Friday, okay, great. Well, today's Wednesday. I can squeeze you guys in today. You know what? I know you're leaving Friday, so what I'll do is I'll make some availability today and get you guys squeezed in, or we have to get you wrapped up tomorrow. I know probably 10 o'clock. I have some availability between 10 and 11. That'll work for you and your wife. And I would try and squeeze them in before they left, knowing that something could, God forbid, happen on that trip. So I always try and think that before people push me off. But if he's like, I'm on the road though. I'm not here. I have to Wednesday, we're packing all day. And then Thursday, I got to take my mom here. Like, if there's no way in the world for me to meet them, then I'm going to understand that, and just get them booked for when we get back. Right. But you got to know, like, if you can't meet with somebody, don't keep trying to meet with them and book that appointment. You're going to, it like makes you sound like you didn't hear what the guy was saying. It's like, bro, didn't you just hear what I said? I'm not even going to be here for 2 weeks. I got to see my mom in the hospital and I still got to pack. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they clearly explain that to you, listen to them a little bit. That's all. But here's the biggest thing. Booking these appointments. Has anybody got no-showed for somebody that they talked to who said they were going to meet with them? Okay. Do you want to stop that from happening? Right?
Yes.
All right. So here's what we got to do. Okay. We're never going to stop it from happening, but let me ask you this. When you got no-showed, how long did it take you to get to their house when you showed up at the door and they didn't answer? How long did it take you?
Like 45 minutes yesterday.
Yesterday, right?
Yeah.
That happened to right?
Yeah.
Most of us are calling virtually and we're not having that happen.
Yeah.
Think about that. So the positive note, it sucks to get no-showed, okay? Because I would get no-showed, and I like to think I'm pretty decent. What I do, I would get no-showed probably 50% of the appointments that I would book, and I would go to their home. That's the business. Simon, same thing. Rick Altig, the best people in his company know it's a 50% show ratio, period. So we don't try and fight the numbers. We know the numbers. I try to get better numbers, obviously. I don't want to be average, but 50% show when I'm driving to their house. You know how annoying that is? So if we're getting 50% show ratio and we're not driving to our house, I think that's a win for us. But still, we want to cut this down, right? So I think even if I was going to their house, I would still do this. So let's say I was booking an appointment to go to their home. Definitely if it's a virtual, I would do this for sure. And I don't know if we're doing this. Maybe you're doing this. But when we get them on the phone, we have to keep them on the phone, get their email, send them the Zoom link, have them click on the Zoom link so they can see you in person. And then you say, okay, great. Can you see me? Can you? Oh, I'm getting a little bit. Can you guys hear me? Okay, yeah. You might want to click. I can't hear you. You can hear me? Can you click the maybe see down there in your left corner says mute? Yeah, there you go. Hey, how are you doing, Bethany? Nice to meet you. In person, kind of in person. Hey, well, I just wanted to make sure we had the connection good. Is this good for you? Are you in a good spot? You have a good Wi-Fi? Okay, great. I have a few clients I'm gonna see today, and then this evening I'll be able to meet with you and Paul. If you could please let Paul know as well, so we don't catch him off guard. But I'll see you guys between 7 and 8. I just need to make sure. Is there any reason why 7 and 8 tonight will not work for you and Paul? Okay, great, because I'm running a pretty tied up schedule. That's why I wanted to make sure we got this connection in, so we don't have any technical issues whenever we hook up a little bit later. Now, if you have any questions, go ahead and write them down, okay? And for you and Paul, I'll make sure that I get through everything with you as quick as possible. We'll go through all that stuff and we'll get right out of your hair. Does that sound good? Okay, great. Well, I'll look forward to seeing you guys between 7 and 8 tonight, and we'll get you guys all squared away. Sound good? All right, talk to you soon. Thanks. Are we doing that? Are we doing that? Okay. Well, I'm glad we're not. Because if we are doing that and we're still getting no-shows at a high rate, then that's not going to help us. But listen, if we're not doing that and you're getting no-shows at a high rate, and your agents are saying, I got no-showed, I don't think this is for me. Like, wake up, buddy. You've been doing this for 2 days. I've dribbled a basketball off my foot for 6 months before I could dribble it off the ground. I swear. I was the worst basketball dribbler around. I would come home from school and all the kids would be dribbling basketballs. It's recess. And I would come home from school and stand in my backyard and dribble a basketball. And I would, in fact, I wouldn't dribble a basketball. I would chase it around my yard the whole time because I couldn't dribble. It'll bounce off my hand, bounce off my shoe, bounce off my head, bounce off everything but where it was supposed to bounce off. But for 6 months, I wasn't good at basketball. I couldn't dribble a basketball for 6 months. And there's a basketball hoop in my backyard. I'd sit there, I'd dribble the basketball, I'd look at the basketball hoop, and I threw a horrible shot up for 6 months until I figured it out. But you can't tell me that you put a basketball in my hand, I'm not gonna get good at it. There's called a starting point. Everybody has a starting point. In this business, there's a starting point. But if you do this every day and you actually seek advice and seek counsel, the reason you're not getting the results is because you're not doing it the right way, period. That's it. You know? So that's what I would tell myself. I say the reason it's not dribbling, Brack, is because it's not because the basketball is a stupid game or gravity's all kind of screwed up stuff. Gravity, balls. That's not for me. I'm not cut out for that. Like, what are you talking about, dude? How about just practice and get a coach and you'll get pretty good at dribbling a basketball? I pretty much guarantee that shit. Guarantee it. My son at 5 years old could dribble with 2 basketballs. Anybody can do anything. He was 5 years old dribbling around with 2 basketballs in his hand. Couldn't believe it. I couldn't even do that. Got in trouble to dribble 2 basketballs and switch hands with the basketballs. How many of us can do that right now? We can learn anything, I'm telling you. So nothing is, anything, I could be a baker. I'm never going to say baking's not for me. Oh, I screwed up the recipe. Well, you know what? It's not the recipe. It was me. I didn't do the recipe properly. Maybe I should try it again and try it again. But I guarantee, give me 100 cracks of baking those brownies. And after 100 of them, I'm going to have them brownies baked up pretty good. I'm not going to quit after 37 tries. Martha Stewart gave me the recipe. It's not Martha Stewart. It's not the recipe. It's me. I'm not doing it properly. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to put it all on me. And I'm just saying, no problem. I'll go do it again. I'll do it again. When's practice next time, coach? When's practice next time? We'll get better. We're going to get better. And we're going to get better. That's why I love working when like athletes understand that concept. You know, just because you didn't have a great phone session one time, that's one practice. We're going to have another practice next time. You know that a doctor, when a doctor graduates college, they go to college for 4 years, then they get a master's degree for 2 years, and then they got to go like do 2 to 4 more years to get their doctorate's degree, you know. And then they have to do a residency for like 2 years, and then they could finally maybe open up their own medical what? Medical practice. They open up a medical practice. I just think it's funny how they say, you ever meet a lawyer? You know, they're going to say, oh yeah, what do you do? I practice law. Oh, I thought you were already a lawyer. Are you still practicing? Who you practice on? Who are you practicing on right now? Your doctor has a medical practice. Guess who's he practicing on? You. He's practicing on his clients every day. It's his practice. It's his craft. You know, this is our practice. This is our craft. And we only get better at it on the phones. But hopefully, hey, hopefully you guys can implement this thing, guys. I kind of role played it with us a little bit over there. But man, send that link out to them. Have them click that link while you're live, and you could solidify it, and that'll help a lot. Okay.
Tommy, things I've been running into while trying to implement that, just maybe some things getting people's way. They are driving, so that'd be really unsafe for them to do that. They're holding a baby, you know, things come up. And at the same time, it takes me 3 to 5 minutes to create the Zoom link, make sure the email is formatted correctly, all the names and times are right in there. And I mean, I've while rushing through that, I have sent out the wrong information, which I believe led to them either showing up to the wrong meeting or at the wrong time.
Yeah.
That happened
don't know if there's just a way we could streamline that more, because I don't know. It's
So for the
there's a
link,
lot of information to change in that email before you send it out, you know?
let me think about that. For the link, like, let's say that, what's that?
I don't think that's the cap.
Let's-
That long, right?
Let's say that I was on the phone with you, right? And or let's say I was just making calls. I'm making calls. While I'm making the calls, wouldn't it be possible for me to just have my Zoom link up, ready to go, and an email ready to go? Because I'm assuming I'm going to be talking to people and setting these up, right? So the email could be a copy paste, like generic thing, like, hey, Blake and Susan, I'm looking forward to meeting with you guys, today between 5 and 7, or whatever. I don't even need to have that really. It could just be some sort of generic thing, but I would have the Zoom link already made for my next appointment, right? Does it have to have a time in it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Has to have a
Time
time
of
in
day.
it?
Yeah. But you can change that time. Like as long as you just go back to
What if we did this? What if you had in your Zoom thing, like let's say for me, I'm like, all right, dude, I got a group at 11 today. I got a call at 3:30, so I can't meet then. But I could set up right now. I could set up a 2 o'clock Zoom. I could set up a 5, a 6, 7, 8, and 9. And I could have the 7, and I know that's my availability, and I could have my Zoom links, just like, because when I would call people, guys, when I would make my schedule, you guys have your schedules in front of you when you call, typically, your paper ones. Do you still use paper schedules? So when I would call with my paper schedules, I would write in the times when I was going to book for, before the day would start. I wouldn't go with a blank schedule. I'm like, all right, so I'm calling Monday for Tuesday, Wednesday, and I will call Thursday for Friday, Saturday. On Tuesday, though, I knew I was going to be in the office till 2 o'clock. So my first appointment didn't start until 4. But I would have on my schedule 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10. And I'd have them on my schedule for Tuesday. Wednesday, I knew I was going to go into the field early, and I would have a 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 4 to 5, and I'd have them on. Now when I'm calling people, I would text somebody and be like, hey, Joe, I have either tomorrow between 4 and 5 or Wednesday between 2 and 3. What time works good for you? 4 to 5, boom, fill that in. 2 to 3, fill that in. Fill that in. Now I'm calling people, and I'm crossing out the times that I had available. Now when I'm calling people, I'm like, you want to know what? I'm kind of booked up between 2 and 3, but I do have 2 time slots available, one between 6 and 7, or a little bit later between 9 and 10. I can get you guys all wrapped up on Wednesday. What time works best for you? So you already have your Zoom links already made for the times that you want to run, because, hey, you're going to run your schedule is going to run you. So you can take control a little bit more, and makes it seem like, even more exclusive. We can use it as. Even in my mind, it makes me, you show my time's already taken.
Yeah, that's much more doable.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, want to know what? If we're, if you're planning on having, let's say 20 appointments booked for a week, right? Or whatever it is, 30 appointments, you might have to sit there and make 30 Zoom links. But hey, if I'm going to make 30 Zoom links, I'd rather do them all in a row rather than, you're going to have to make it on the phone, rushing around. I had a guy who his name was Ted Jenkins. He ran Ameriprise Financial. He was senior vice president. And I remember he told me one time, he says, when I do my work, like my daughter, she had to do busy work for school, so instead of doing like one here, one there, we just lined them all up in a row. And he's like, we just did them all in a row, and we got all our stuff done in like a half hour, So like if you could do that for your busy work, have them all set up that way, you're gonna have to do it one way or another. Plus, what it does is it's like, hey, I didn't sit here and create a Zoom link for 3 o'clock on Wednesday and then not have an appointment for 3 o'clock on Wednesday. So you're asking the universe, and you're assuming that you already have. You're going to be setting an appointment for 3 o'clock. It's going to make you want to get that appointment set for 3 o'clock. It's going to make the universe want to deliver. You know what I'm saying? You set the stage for it to happen. Imagine if you made 40 Zoom links for the week. I bet you you'd start creeping up to 40 of those suckers filled out, you know? Yes, yeah. I think on a Sunday, you look at your schedule for the week. Look at your schedule for the week. And you say, hey, here's what I got going on. I got ice skating lessons on Tuesday. We're going golfing on Wednesday. Tommy's making us go bike riding on Thursday. If you guys can get a bike and come bike ride with me, I would love you. I'd love you guys. I want Reich with a bike. Come on. You're not even riding with a bike. Right? You got a bike?
Bike. Yeah, I do have a bike.
What kind of bike you got?
I used to BMX, and I haven't been
Oh,
on bikes since
man.
college,
A
so
BMXer.
high school, so-
Okay, I don't even got to talk about bikes with you. You know about bikes.
You've been looking.
I talk to people about bikes, and then they're like, oh, yeah, I'm a BMXer. And I'm like, all right, well, I just know about a Trek.
Is Daquan in that room? Is Daquan in here?
What's that, brother?
Daquan in here?
Q's in here. Yeah, I saw him.
Hey, so he posted something in the chat about sending from the Google Chrome plugin. Will that send it from your Google email or from your Vena agency email? You're muted, buddy.
It'll come from your Google email. Sure.
Okay.
That's the reason why I stopped using it, but you know what I mean? That was just a solution to it.
Okay. All right, gotcha.
Good call. Okay, so now we got a client. All right, and the client, basically says, so Joe and Mary, there's basically two types of life insurance out there. There's whole life and there's term life. Are you familiar with either type? Okay, you are? Okay, great. Well, what I'll do, let me break them down for us just to make sure we're on the same page. So the first thing I want to do is I want to establish that. And it's real basic and real easy for the client. So, we could, can you turn that camera this way and I'll let you know when it's good?
Yeah.
Actually, we'll put it right here. Put it right here. Thanks, bro. Put it right here.
Oh, okay.
So. Okay. So it's whole life and term. First type is called term. Term is temporary coverage, Joe and Mary. This will cover you from now. Term life is temporary coverage. It will cover you from now until it terminates. So term life it'll cover you for a certain period of time. So that could be from year. If you had a 10-year term, that will cover you from year 1 to year 10. After 10 years, you'd be covered for 10 years, but after those 10 years, the coverage would go away. Now, if you want to keep the coverage or maintain coverage, you can get it for another 10 years, but what would happen is you're 10 years older, so the cost will typically go up. It will go up a little bit. And what happens is each 10 years, you can keep the coverage, but it'll go up every 10 years, and the cost keeps going up until you reach age 65 or 70. And typically around 65 or 70, most term policies terminate. That's why they call it term, because at the end of it, it terminates all of your coverage. So a lot of people say, well, what happens if I pass away before 65? Before 65, if you pass away before 65, the money will get paid out to your family. So let's say you had $100,000 worth of life insurance, and you passed away, that $100,000 would go to your family. But if you live past 65 or 70, and then you pass away, then nothing will get paid out to the family. So term is temporary coverage. It'll cover you for if you pass away. A lot of people say, what happens to the money that I put into the policy? The money that we put into the policy is going to go towards paying for the life insurance. It's all paying for your death benefit. So it's like leasing. That's what term is, like renting or leasing coverage for your family. And the way it'll pay out is if you pass away while it's in place, it'll pay out to your family. Now, whole life coverage, Joe and Mary, will cover us for, just like it says here, for our whole life. So it'll be in place forever. So no matter what, whenever we pass away, this will be guaranteed to pay out to our family today, tomorrow, when we're 99 years old. That means as soon as our members qualify for it, they're locked in for their entire whole life. Now, if you have $100,000 of whole life coverage, the way this works is this will cover us for our whole entire lives. And when we put our money into it, part of the money is going to go towards cash value. The other part is going to go towards cost of insurance. Just like up here, all the money you're putting into a term policy is all going towards cost of insurance. Here, some of it's going towards cost of insurance, but now you're actually going to build cash value. So when you reach age 65 or 70, you'll have a bunch of cash that's built up in here, and it'll be tax-free for your family. Now, the difference is when you reach 65, not only will the coverage be in place, but you'll also have cash to pull from. Over here, when you reach 65, 70, the coverage goes away. Term coverage, if you pass away, whole life coverage is when you pass away. So typically, whole life coverage will be something that you want to leave guaranteed money for behind to your family. So the next thing is I'll break down for them. So for Joe and Mary, I say, so how do we know, how much you need, right? Everyone says, how much coverage would I need to protect my family? That's going to be based upon two things. Your need is going to be based upon time as well. See, what happens is over time, people's needs change. A lot of times when we're young, like right now, you guys are 35, you guys have 3 kids, right? So the first thing we want to make sure we're taking care of is enough money set aside for funeral and final expenses, okay? In your situation, let's pull it up. I don't know if I have one with me, but I need this. I need my, if I had it, I would say, let's pull up right now. In your situation, you're 35. So what they would do is from 35, you would live to be age 86. You guys can see right here on the screen. I'll pull it up on the screen for you. Maybe I'll even screen share it if I had it on my screen share. You're going to be at, so 35 to 86, that's another what? 50 years from now. Boom, look at that, right? So the first thing you do is you want to show them what's called life expectancy, right? And then the second thing that they said, and this is what the funerals, or what the unions and all the organizations that we service wanted to make sure that they had said was funeral and final arrangements, is for your funeral costs. If you take a look, the average cost today is between $12,000 and $14,000. But if you want to take a look over the next 50 years, the average cost of the funeral is going to be around, looks like $52,000 to $71,000. So about $55,000 to $75,000 for an average funeral for someone in our situation. So for you guys, they would recommend probably to have at least $75,000 to $100,000 of coverage for your funeral and final arrangements, first of all. The second thing they're going to look for is any debts. So if you passed away right now, what kind of debts would be left behind that you would want to make sure was taken care of for the family? The first thing a lot of people want to make sure is the mortgage. The biggest liability that we could leave behind could be a mortgage payment, but at the same sentence, it could also be the biggest legacy we could leave behind to our family is to leave behind a home that's paid off. So if we passed away right now, I always ask my clients, would you rather leave behind a legacy or a liability? And everybody always says legacy. And we always say the mortgage is they say you're owning a home, they call that one of the American dreams, right? And so what we want to do is make sure that if there is a mortgage on the home, and if we did pass away, what would we need to have that paid off? What's your mortgage balance, Joe? 270? Okay. Okay, next thing will be any additional debts that you would want to be taken care of. Is there any major outstanding credit cards or any car payments or anything like that? Okay, you have another property as well? Oh, that's great, 50,000, and then the cars, another 50,000. All right, so we'll call this $370,000 to take care of all the debts for your family. Now, Joe, right now, if you passed away, they would recommend, since you have a family, that at least 2 to 5 years of your income would continue to come into the household. So right now, Joe, your income is about $120,000 a year, right? So we would take $120,000 a year, and if you want to keep that income coming into the household, it'll come into the family tax-free if you passed away today for the following 5 years. Okay, 5 years of that will be $600,000. Okay. And then to make sure that the kids were able to attend college and go to college, we want to have at least $100,000 set aside for each kid for college education. And that would be $100,000. that'd be $300,000 for the children's college education. So right now, Joe, being that we're 35, and if you think about it, you make what, 120,000 a year, right? Well, if you times that over the next 30 years, from 35 to 65, that means you're going to basically make $3.6 million for your family over the next 30 years. And that's if you never get a pay raise or increase any earnings or any bonuses or any matching on your 401k or anything like that. So over the next 30 years, I know sometimes, Mary, you might not think, too much, but hey, you got $1 million man sitting right there, okay? Right? And you are $3.6 million to your family over the next 30 years, right? So instead of protecting all 3.6 million of that for your income, they at least want to have 600,000 set aside. So you have 300 plus 600 is 900 plus 370 is 1.27 plus 100,000 for that is 1.37. So it looks like for you, you need about 1.37 million dollars in coverage to protect all them assets right there. Right? Best way we can work through doing that is we can set him up with this gentleman right here was asking, this is a real life example. He was asking, so I would say you could do 500,000 of whole life coverage. And for this guy, this would be $550 a month. And then he can also do 500,000 of term. And I might hook him up on a 4-year. We can look at both rates for a 10-year and a 4-year. Anybody know what that would be by any chance? I don't have my rate book on me, but it wouldn't be that much. On a 4-year for 500,000, 100,000 4-year. I bet you you could get him for probably $150 a month. And then over here he can get 300,000 of ADD, right? So what's 200,000? 16. This would be $24 a month right there. So we're talking probably $724 a month plus the waiver of premium. We'll probably say at least it's going to be another probably $25 to $40 a month for waiver of premium. So we're probably looking at like $750 plus a month for that. And then I'll show them that, and I'll give them an option. I'll say, so now what you want to do, Joe, is to cover the whole 1.37 million for your family with all permanent protection would typically be too expensive, not very cost efficient, right? You probably don't want to have all whole life. If you can, that's great. It's the best investment you could do for your family, single-handed. But you don't want to have all term either, right? So I'd recommend to have some sort of combination of both. Starting out, we could even start him out with 250 a whole life, and then add more and give him 750 a term. And that's how I'd start reducing him down. You see how I would reduce him down? I started here, but I would not reduce down the coverage. He's still going to need $1.37 million of life insurance. So I'm going to keep the 1.37. I'm going to adjust the way he gets it. I'd love for it to all be whole life with some ADB. Give him $1 million a whole life and 300,000 ADB. That'd be great. But if he can't do that, then let's do 500, 500. If he can't do that, let's do 250, 750. If he can't do that, let's do 100, 900. Right? To be honest, he really only needs 100, 900. He really only needs 100, 900. Why? Because he only needs 100,000 for his funeral and final arrangement. So what's going to happen, Joe, is from now until you're 65, you're going to have this whole life coverage being here for $100,000 now until forever. And let me ask you, when you reach age 65, do you think you're going to pass away before or after 65? Probably after, right? So what happens is your need right now is 1.37, but do you think your need's going to be 1.37 when you're this old? No. Your home's going to get paid off. The children are going to move out. Now you're 65 and your family doesn't miss your income anymore. You're retired. They don't need income protection. Your mortgage is paid off. The kids are moved out. No debts. all we need now is just enough to make sure that when we pass away, there's something guaranteed to be there for you, right? So what we'll do is we don't think we're going to pass away before 65, right? But hey, if we do pass away before 65, we have our term coverage in place. Remember, the if coverage is the term coverage. We'll have term coverage for the if. But when we pass away, we're going to have the guaranteed whole life to make sure that we never burden our family with funeral and final arrangements, and we also have the ability to leave a legacy behind. So the whole life can also be used for leaving a legacy too. Most families would like to do that and not just bury themselves, but leave something else behind too. So then from here.
When you would get into the cash value side.
No, I don't even talk about cash value, man.
Not even yet, right?
No, I mean, I really don't even, at this point, we don't even need to really talk about it because they're sold already, you know?
What if they're like younger? Like I pitched like a.
But I could get, but you know, but I would tell them what their numbers are. I would tell them. What's the question?
What if they're younger? Like you focus more on the cash value then instead of the legacy, right?
Yeah. So on but let me show you, Joe. Just let me show you how your whole life policy is going to work, right? So does anybody have a rate book? Anybody? See if Drew does it. He's just trained.
Josh does.
Josh does.
Yeah, I was used to it.
Okay. All right. Guys, I'm gonna take off and switch to a different microphone. Hopefully this works.
Yeah, dude, that $1 million headline.
Yeah.
I've been hitting with the $1 million lifestyle, but like when I say $1 million man, it makes everything more on the
Hey,
hustle.
what's our internet here? Is it this ad kit?
At KEI something.
22?
Yeah.
Want to press pause.
And what's the password
This is
for
a
it?
long video.
The password is, I have it in my, hold on, I got it.
You guys know it?
Take some.
It's crazy numbers.
I have no idea on the Wi-Fi. We'll have to change it to something you can memorize.
Yeah, we need to definitely change it to something easier.
Yeah.
So, can you guys hear me on? Oh, yeah, good. It looks like this microphone works as well. All right, perfect. So far, how about any questions? Let's just pause for a second for questions. That'll be good.
This is it.
Right,
Yeah.
got it. Thanks, man. You guys got questions in here or on there?
Okay, now we need your email password and
Your social
your
security.
Chase Bank password.
How do you pause these?
I think you could just hit pause stop and then you do another one. The only reason I always chop up my videos is we're trying to send them. You can't send the whole video like 45
Well, yeah, I mean,
minutes.
we're taping this, but I
Yeah.
wanted to get that. I wanted to
Okay.
get the drawing board for the person.
Yes.
So I can just revert to it real quick.
Yeah, let me something.
Because I did it at the 30-minute mark. So that's
No questions by anybody? I don't think we got any questions coming through.
Oh,
straight. Dude, we're good.
That's good.
Yeah.
I do have a question. Like, so, when you're presenting, the total coverage, like, 1.3 million, and then you got the big number with the whole life. That's, that's going to be $750 a month. You're just price conditioning, right? With that.
Yeah.
And then you're lowering them down to because they really need the 100 plus the 900. You're breaking it up that way. That's really just all price conditioning, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not price conditioning. It's educating the client on what they need.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean? I guess you could call it price conditioning.
That's true. I guess that's just a side benefit, right?
Side benefit
you
of
know,
the price.
is the
yeah.
price condition, but that's true. That's just the way it's explained.
Yeah.
Oh, yo, right. So if they're young, if you're doing it the way Tommy's doing it, the accidental, right? That's a huge thing to focus on too. Not like focus on, right? But with the accidental, if we're young, that's what's gonna happen. You know, it's gonna be an accident.
More than likely.
Exactly. So always throw that on, no matter what.
Do you throw accidental on a child policy?
If they're over 5 years old.
Okay.
And I gotta set this up for you 1 second. I'm trying to see if you guys got questions. People that should have questions. So, what you want to do is you want to give them an ABC off of that. Right there, I'd say, so here's your options. You know, we go this option A, this option B, this option C. Right? And then what I would do, I'd say, while you guys think about what's best for you guys, whatever you guys want, I'll fill out the application, make sure you guys can even qualify. And I start filling out the application.
Because you're giving it to them, but taking it away, right?
That's right.
I see. Okay.
Wait, so you give the options first before you ask
See if they can
questions?
qualify. Yeah.
Because you
Oh, yeah.
you're giving it to them, but then you're taking it away,
Right.
and people want something that you take away from them.
Right.
Oh, damn.
Right. Yeah. So we take it away so we can present the options, but the idea is reversed with this.
Okay, and that's really like touch and feel depending on how you that person does, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think maybe
I've
the style that we
used
use
today.
is there's someone that's new at this, and now I'm thinking like this is just
You got to remember, these people are
these are advanced
they're,
moves, right?
they're,
Yeah.
they're you know your union guys, and they're used to being told what to do every single day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're telling them what to do, but you're taking things away, bring it back. You know, just
Yeah.
you're getting them right for the close.
Wow, I never even thought of that though. That's a good one.
Yes.
All right, we're about 3 seconds away. I'm not.
And then also now I'm seeing a picture in my head, like while they're thinking about it, while you ask to close, like, you know, all we gotta do is pick an option, or not pick, you know, when we say that, we say like, all we gotta do is figure out which of these fit your needs the best and which makes the most sense to you. And while we're doing that, I'm gonna ask you a few questions and we'll see if you can even qualify.
Yo.
And then you just take it away.
If I did that to the sick like a few nights ago, I feel like I would have. Wow. Because
So
they're
you're a
like,
little reversed
yeah.
than how we do it.
Because they're like, they saw the options. They were just like, all right,
First, we got to see if we can even qualify.
yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. So now they're thinking about which option to pick, but they're also on the side distracted, like, can we even qualify?
Well, that's what.
Now you throw that out there, so their thinking is it's a little less complicated because they're thinking their whole life, they're thinking numbers, they're working this out. We take the pressure off.
All right, cool.
First thing, what do you mean?
I think this.
Of course I can qualify.
You're
You're to me.
I hear you, man. Right, yeah, perfect.
I think we're good. Is this meeting still working? You guys can hear us? Okay. All right, it's working. All right, cool. All right, so where's the 3 options? I'd say, so, you know, basically, Joe, and when you do it, I'd write them down. I write option A, you know, we basically have $500,000 of whole life coverage in place for your family from now until forever. What that's going to do for you is that's going to guarantee to take care of all of your funeral and final arrangements. It's going to leave a legacy behind for your family of potentially $400,000 when you pass away on top of the final arrangements, but also it's going to build cash value for you as well. Like we said, when you reach age 65, you're going to have $150,000 of cash value built up into that policy as well. You can pull out tax-free. Also, you're gonna have $500,000 of term coverage to take care of all the what ifs. And you see how I use the same words consistently throughout it, you know, the ifs and the when. This will take care of the when whenever we pass away, but this will take care of the what ifs for the term coverage. And then we're also gonna have $300,000 of accidental death benefit, because the chances are, if we pass away when we're young and when our kids are not even at college yet, like if I pass away before my kids go to college, the chances are it's going to be due to an accident more than any other cause. So option B would put 250 in place of whole life coverage. You know, that's going to have $75,000 of cash value. We'll have $750,000 of term. That's going to be for the ifs, and then we'll still have 300. And then option C, we'll put 100,000 of whole life, 900,000 of term, and 300,000 of ADB. And like we said, option A, you know, that's basically going to be about $175 for the week. This option B will basically be about $122, and then option C is going to be about $90 per week. So like I said, Joe, you know, the thing is, everybody always wants to try and qualify for the benefits, but I have to make sure you guys can even qualify first. Okay, so while you guys think about what's best for which option you know would be best for the family here, let's make sure that you can even qualify. So I'm going to pull up the application. You can even read along as I go through this. The first one here says, have you ever used narcotics, sedatives, or hallucinogens? Used ever DUIs, DWIs, you know, and I just start reading the questions off to them exactly like it says on the screen. I'd pull up the screen and do that. You know what I'm saying? So I'd pull up the screen on my computer and I would literally read to them what was on there. So you know, how can we keep this simple, right? I got to be able to teach this, and I got to be able to have other people be able to do this as well, right? So best way to reiterate and go over this, keeping it simple, right? Break down the difference between whole life and term using basic words like this builds equity. This is like leasing. This one is like owning. This is like renting. You know, this is like if you own a home and you build equity. This is like renting where you don't build equity. At 65, this goes away. At 65, this will still be there. This is for the if you pass away. This is for the when. This is temporary. This is forever. Joe, that's why they call it whole life coverage, because it's going to last us for how long, Joe? For our whole life, exactly. You know, so using those words, I've had to do presentations where I could not use my trusty pen and paper. So I had to do this. I had to use hands. I was using my hands. And my left hand was whole life, and my right hand was term, because I was thinking it doesn't matter. But anyways, so whole life is the guaranteed coverage. The term is the temporary coverage. The whole life is the coverage that builds the cash value, and it's going to be there at 65. It's like owning a home. The temporary coverage is the one that goes away. It doesn't build any cash. It's like leasing. You know, this is going to be the when you pass away. This will only be there if you pass away while that coverage is in place. And I just kept using my hands to try and teach them the difference between whole life and term. Whole life and term. You got the whole life and term? Okay, great. Now let's break it down for us on how, you know, that would work. Typically, when you're younger, your need is going to be different than when you get older. Over time, people's needs typically go down. So when you're younger, let's think about it. The first thing we'd have to cover would be funeral and final arrangements. Then we'd have to take care of the debts. Then we'd have to make sure the income's taken care of. And then we got to make sure there's college education set aside for the kids. So our needs are a lot higher. You know, that situation for you, probably about $50,000 for this. Your debts right now, you own $100,000 on your home. And then right now you make $50,000. So Joe makes $50,000 a year right now. For the next 30 years, Joe's going to make $1.5 million for his family. So I know it might not seem like you're sitting next to, hey, we got $1 million asset sitting right on the call here with us, guys. I mean, this gentleman is going to be bringing home over $1.5 million in income into this family for over the next 30 years. So what they'd recommend is, especially if you have kids, young kids, to have at least 5 years of that protected. Because if you passed away, that would give the family 5 years to get back on their feet. So 5 years of your income at 50,000 would be at 250,000. So we got 50 plus 100 plus 250. So now we're about 400,000. And then we have 2 kids, each one to set them aside money to go to college would be about 100,000 for each one to go to college. So that would be about $600,000 of coverage right there. And what I would do is I'd set them up with probably 100,000 of, I'd set them up with 200,000 a whole life, 200,000 a term, 200,000 a ADB. And if he didn't want to do that, I'd reduce them down to, 150 of whole life, 250 of term, and 250 of and 200 ADB. If he, and option C would be 300, 100, 200. 300 a term, 100 a whole life.
So we trash on term.
We're not trashing on it at all. Did I trash on it? No, not once. I'm selling it.
You're selling it.
Yeah, they need it.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
So yeah, I thought we've always just been trying to sell the whole life. That's why.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. You don't have to sell nothing. It sells itself.
Yeah.
So if I go in and I explain whole life and term, I'm not shitting on term. I'm just telling you what it's like. It just happens to shit on itself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For most people in their brains, they're like, well, why would I even have that, right? But then I say, you want to know what? Here's why. Here's the why. Because you have to cover the if and the when. And then they're like, oh, wow. See, they need the term. Because I can't cover 600,000 of his. He needs 600,000. So if you know your client needs 600,000 and you need to cover it, how would you cover it?
Some term, little bit of whole, mostly term. Because
Yeah.
they can't afford all term.
Yeah. Let's say you couldn't sell them term. There was no term, never existed, and all we had was whole life. Guess what you'd be forced to do? Sell them 600,000 a whole life. And you know what they would do? They wouldn't even buy it off you. They wouldn't even buy it, right? So it's a good thing we have term so we can help the clients get the coverage that they need now. They need 600 now, so I can give them the 600 now, but term's only supposed to cover us now, not later. We don't want it later. And we let it go. We're getting it specifically to know it's going to be gone later because I got my whole life to last me forever. So it works out perfect for the client. It really does. So those would be my 3 options, and I would put it on the board and ask them that. So, we go over whole life and term, whole life and term, whole life and term. I would draw it up, typically have it way better than using hand motions, right? But look how simple it is. Think about how simple it is. Whole life and term, how simple is that? We all got that. You could break that down for someone real quick and easy. I can meet a guy in a corner and break it down for him real quick. Whole life and term, here's how it works. Now, let me show you how much you need. They call it napkin math for a reason, because literally you can take a napkin on the back of a napkin, look how small this is. There's paper, there's writing all over this sheet of paper. I'll take the corner of this paper and I'll fold the corner in half. And we'll go a half into a half, and we'll take that half and fold that into a half. How many halves is that, right? And we got it. And I can literally figure out how much coverage a guy needs. So Joe, first thing we have to do is make sure our funeral and final arrangements are taken care of. How old are you? You're 50. 30 years from now, the average funeral is going to be around $30,000. So we need $30,000 for your funeral. Next thing we have to take care of is our debts. What are your debts right now if you passed away? Your mortgage, what do you owe on that? $50,000? Oh, that's not too bad. What else? Your truck out there? If you pass away, would you want your truck paid off? Now, he said, you know what? I would probably want them to just sell it. And I said, well, let me ask you this. How long do you think it's going to take to sell your truck? You think they could just sell it tomorrow? What's the payments on it? He said, $1,600. And I said, well, let's say it takes them a whole year to sell it, right? That's almost $20,000. So we'll probably need $20,000 just to make sure the truck gets taken care of, right? Okay, next after that, do you have any kids? Just have one? Okay. And how much money would you want to have set aside for them? How old are they? 22? Okay. And would you want to leave money set aside for them? What about grandkids? Okay. Typically, people would want to leave anywhere from $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 per person. How much would you want to leave per child? You want to leave your daughter with 50 and each grandchild with 25? Okay, perfect. 25, 20. Okay, great. For you, Joe, your need is going to be 30 plus 50 plus 20 is 100 plus another 100. You need about $200,000. Okay, what I want to do set that up for you is you probably want to set up about 100,000 of whole life and 100,000 of term. That would be option A for him. Option B will be 75 whole life, 125 term. Option C will be 50, 150. but let's see if you can even qualify first. I'll show them so here's Joe, your option A. So for you to get your coverage would be, I'd say to cover 200,000, we would do 100 and 100. Okay, that's going to run you about $200 a month, about $50 a week. Option
I have
B.
a question.
Yes.
So with that, would you depending on how old he is, would that determine how much accidental you throw in there too? Because that couldn't that go into that cost if he was to die in an accident?
Yeah. We could throw the accidental in there as well as an option for him, as well. But I would not make that part of his 200 because it's accidental. You know, if I could, you know, if I could get to somebody the real coverage, I want to get them the real coverage. Now what's nice is that's a great question, Quinn, is we know we always have the ADB. Like if we got them sold and they want it and you know they want it and they know they want it and they know they need it, the problem is cost. No problem, man. I go to Jamaica and I tell the lady at the thing, she brings me my drink and I'm like, oh, thanks for the drink. She goes, no problem, man. Everything in Jamaica is literally no problem, man. Everything's no problem. No problem. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I love it. So it's no problem. If it's a cost, cost is a problem. No problem, man. We get that fixed for you. We still get you the coverage. We'll just turn it ADB. Right? We're going to get them the coverage. We already shown the client the need, right? Now it's our job to use our solutions to cover that need. And our solutions are ADB, whole life and term, right? And we got to know that all of them have their place. They're all right. There's none of them are really wrong. If you got somebody all term coverage right now, that's better than them getting no coverage because they can convert that all to whole life tomorrow if they wanted to. I had a guy who needed like $200,000 of coverage, right? And we went through everything and the guy could only afford like $23 a month, but he desperately needed it, right? So I got him the biggest term policy that I could get him. And I said, it was like a 100,000 term policy I got him. And I said, what we can do is later on, we can convert this to whole life at any time. You know, he can add coverage on and stuff like that. So knowing what the clients need is going to help us figure out what products that we're going to need to help cover them solutions. And then we give them 3 options. I'll give them 3 options. And then I assume the sell and take it away from them. And then I'll say, so Joe, Mary, after going through the questions, it looks like you guys are healthy. You guys are young. And they say the best time to get covered is when you're young and healthier. You're never younger or healthy than you are today, right? The older that we get, typically what happens to the cost of insurance is it goes up. And the older that we get, what happens to our health typically is it goes down. So to lock in with as much coverage as you possibly can while you're young is always what they recommend the most. So for today, though, you guys do seem young. You seem like you're healthy. Really, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't, be able to qualify for the coverage. And in fact, you guys would be able to qualify even for option A. So you would be able to qualify for option A, Joe. Knowing that, just to get an idea, guys, which one do you guys feel comfortable with today? What would you like to protect with your family with?
Hey, Tommy.
Yes.
I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
You say about us being able to change from a temp to a whole life, right? Would the client have to requalify at that point?
No, great question. See, that's the beautiful thing about our coverage. So if, let's say it was a client, say, so Joe, man, the reason, one of the great things about the term coverage though, is if we went with option C for now, and you got a 900,000 of term and 100,000 of whole life, our term coverage is different than any other term coverage out there. Ours is what's called renewable and convertible. And what that means is that any time throughout the policy's life, you can convert it to whole life coverage no matter what. So you can 5 years from now convert that to whole life coverage. You can 10 years from now maybe come with an illness. You could have every illness in the world. Doesn't matter. You're guaranteed convertible, and you can convert your term coverage to whole life no matter what. Now, most term policies out there, if you have a level term policy, Like my dad worked for Primerica. He sold level term policies. He had one himself. It went away when he was 45. He had a 25 to 45. And the way that works, though, is you can't convert it to whole life. It's just not possible. They don't even have that option. Now, some of them have an option to convert to whole life, but if they do, oftentimes you have to requalify. So if I got a term policy with another company and I want to convert it to a whole life policy, I have to go through qualifications all over again. You know, with our company, it's guaranteed convertible no matter what. They could be the sickest person in the world. Okay. Also, they're guaranteed renewable. So at the end of the 10 years, the policy doesn't go away and then you have to reapply for a new one. That's how normal, like my dad's 20-year term policy through Primerica, it went away when he was 45. If he wanted to get another 20-year term policy, he would have to reapply and requalify for another 20 years. He has to go through underwriting all again. That's how normal policies work. Our term policy is renewable and convertible. So at the end of those 10 years, it automatically renews. That's what that means. It automatically renews. Someone was like, your term policy rates are different than other term policy rates. Well, we got to compare apples to apples. Are we comparing renewable convertible term policies to renewable convertible term policies? Or are we comparing renewable convertible term policies to level term policies? Right? Our clients don't need level term. Our clients need renewable convertible. They need to get their foot in the door today, but keep it comfortable because most people live in paycheck to paycheck. And you see these companies, they're advertising all the time because they're trying to get other business from other companies, and people will switch their car insurance, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 times in their life. When they get their life insurance, we want to make sure this is something that they never switch. So I'd rather them get their foot in the door now and keep it comfortable and then increase over time rather than bite $100 off or $200 off. And now they're price shopping for the next 2 years, seeing if they could get a better price. He ain't price shopping me because I got him in something comfortable and something he can afford. He ain't even worried about price. But when I oversell him, now he's going home like, man, I wonder if I could get it cheaper somewhere, you know? So you want to educate the client. Always tell them, I'd rather get your foot in the door with something comfortable, you know, and later on, you could always make adjustments to your program. That's part of my sales pitch. I sell it to every person. I tell them, like, the main thing is making sure you get your foot in the door today and just making sure that it's comfortable. And then later on down the line, we can make any adjustments that we need. If you want to make any additions or make any adjustments, we can do that later on down the line. Let's just make sure we get your foot in the door and keep it comfortable for you, you know? So after I would tell them though, hey, Joe, Mary, seems like you're healthy. Seems like you should be able to qualify. I turn it right to the thing and say, which benefit do you feel would benefit your family the most? You know, which one would you like to go? And when they tell me, I'll say, okay, great. You know, if you can, I'll fill out the rest of your information here, right? Got your social security number. If you can, I'll pull it right up on the screen so they can see the application as I'm filling it out. So what's nice is I don't even have to ask a lot of the questions because they see the questions that I'm going to need. Like, oh, they'll start telling me their date of birth before I even ask it, right? And then they see you filling in the coverage amount and all that stuff, right?
I do have a question.
Yes.
So when you qualify them after you presented them a price, obviously sometimes you're going to run into people who have diabetes or this and that, and the price is going to change. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah. So you don't know if the price is going to change, right? We just know that they could possibly get rated, right? So you don't know if it's going to change right then and there.
Well, like for an option, if you find out they're a smoker, it changes it right then and there. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So then you add it, then it changes right then and there. So
yeah.
like usually 10, 15. So how do you deal with that? I'm sure it happens all the time.
Yeah. So the rates, when I put them up on the board, are pretty solid because I know if they smoke.
Okay.
Yeah, I know if he's a male or female. Typically,
right.
I know if it's a tobacco user, and I know how old they are. That's all you need, you know. Okay. So the rates that don't change. The rates,
so
the numbers really.
On the app to do those rates, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, you're relying on the app to do the rates.
To do the rates.
Oh yeah,
right?
I
yeah. So that would be why that's in my head.
I got you. I
Yep.
got you. Yep. So you just know that ahead of time, if they smoke or not, when you put
Okay.
the rates in. So I have the rates on the board. You know, they're up there. I filled the application out. You have diabetes, right? I fill that information in, pull up my medical addendum, put that stuff in my medical addendum, fully document everything you can so you don't have to do it later. The more you give them, the better. And then what I'll tell him at the end is what I'll tell everybody. As I say, now, Joe, there's 3 things that can happen. You know, today, you know, you seem healthy, seem young. The only one thing is the diabetes did come up, you know, but you say that's under control, right? But I just want to let everybody know that there's 3 things that can happen. The first thing that can happen is that everything that we filled out here, your application and your life insurance will get approved just as standard, and you'll be approved. The second thing that could happen with the application is the opposite. It could get actually declined for coverage, okay? And that would be if something they found in your medical records or something we filled in this application isn't correct. And then the other thing that could happen, though, is they won't decline somebody, but what they'll do is they'll approve you with a slight rating, which means that it may come back for you to have your coverage and cost a couple dollars extra a week or a month. In that situation, we'll give you a call and I'll let you know, and you can make any decisions at that point. But it's kind of like car insurance. It's like, hey, you know, if me and you both apply for car insurance and we're the same age and everything, but I got a couple of DUIs and a couple car wrecks, my car insurance is probably going to maybe cost just a little bit more than yours, right? But if that would happen, I would let you know. But what we find is that if people do have policies that come back that get rated, you know, what happens is that means they're just one step closer to becoming uninsurable completely. So it's a good thing we caught it at that point, and we'll be able to get you guys your coverage still. That's a good thing about it. So like I said, I'll let you know, but there's 3 things you can get approved, declined, or rated, and we'll make sure that, you know, I'll stay in touch with you, you know, until we get your policy into your hands and your family's protected forever. And speaking of forever, you know, Joe and Mary, today we did not, you know, this is not a temporary fix, obviously. You know, this is a guaranteed permanent solution for your family, you know, and I just want to make sure today that, you know, that this $172 a month is going to be comfortable for you. Obviously, I don't want to, you know, get a phone call a couple of weeks or a month from now saying that, you know, you can't afford it or something like that. So Joe, is $172 a month, is that comfortable for you? Or do we need to adjust it a bit while we're out here? You're sure? Okay, great. You know, because, you know, is sometimes what will happen is a member will maybe cancel their coverage. And then what we'll find out is that we'll meet with that same member a few years down the line, and they'll want to reapply for the coverage, but they'll find out that they're that much older. So now it costs them a lot more to get into the program. Or even worse, something happens with their health and their health changes, and now they're not able to get on the program at all. So Joe, just need to make sure that this is comfortable for you, and this is something that can be in place for the rest of your life. Does that make sense to you? Okay. Now, here's my extra thing that I do. I say, now, Joe, I know I made a lot of promises to you today that basically at one of the worst times of your life, we're going to be there for your family, okay? And what I just want to see, what I want to do, Joe, is I want to ask you to make a promise back. And the promise is going to be that you keep this program in place for your family forever, no matter what. I know a lot of things are going to happen. The kids are young. From now until they graduate and when they're older, I mean, you might need new tires, water heater, the roof may blow off the house. You may buy the kids a car, take them to prom, vacations, Disneyland, Christmases, and all that. But, what was I going to say? But I need to make sure that no matter what happens, that you're able to keep this program in place. Because as long as you keep this program in place, then I'm going to be able to make sure that we keep our promise to you and your family. So I'll say something like that to him, and I'll say, so Joe, Mary, how long does this program need to be in place for? What do you guys think? You got it, forever, right? So if anything ever comes up, make sure you give me a call. You promise you give me a call? All right, perfect. I call that the promise deal. And basically you say, I know I made a lot of promises to you today, one of the worst times of your life. You know, we're going to be there for you. I just need to make sure that you can make that promise back to me. And if you keep your promise and you keep this program in place, I guarantee you we'll be able to keep our promise and we'll always be there for your family, just like we were for the hundreds of thousands of other families that we've been servicing on a daily basis. Now, I appreciate working with you guys. It's been a pleasure meeting with you. And I want you to know anything you ever need, I'll be here. My staff will be here. Here's my information. I'll send you a quick email. When I'm done, just keep an eye out in the mail. I'm going to send you this thing in the mail. It's going to look just like this. Okay, here's your folder, guys. Your folder is going to look like this. Okay, you're going to have a summary sheet in there. It's going to summarize all the coverage that you have. My business card will be in there. All this stuff will be right in your folder. And I start going through that with them. Your freedom of choice certificate will be in there. And then you go over all that with them right there on the call, and that makes them feel all warm and fuzzy inside, So, and I like getting packages in the mail. So I'm going to send you a little package in the mail. And what I like to do is I like to get a picture. So I'm going to pull up, I'll get a little selfie with you if you wouldn't mind. All right. And this is what we got going on today, but I'm going to send this to you in the mail as well. Right. And I'll send a little selfie and a thank you card and all kind of stuff to them. But part of the close is letting them know they're going to get stuff from you in the mail. Any questions on that stuff? Cool. All right. Well, I hope that helps a little bit, guys. If you guys want me to hop in on any of these sales calls, or if you have anybody you want me to help, just let me know. It's easy stuff, guys. It's really easy. You just sit there, you just break down the whole life and term for them, show them how much they need, show them how it's going to change over time, right? And show them their recommendations, give them 3 options, and assume that sell. Take it away, have some urgency.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So if you're showing the options before you qualify them, are you reading the mandatory read off before you show the options or before you qualify them, or where does that fit in then?
Yeah, that would be before you show them the options. That'd be before you show them the options. So I would do it in this situation. I would do it. I would say I would go over the whole life and term. I would show them their need. Like I would show them like how their need would change over time. And then, if this was, this was a hard card or a child safe or a will kit, we definitely have to go over the mandatory read-off letter and the cost. So let me backtrack that for a second, because normally we would do it after we fill out the needs analysis. Right? You'd fill out the needs analysis. Right after you fill out the needs analysis, you go over the mandatory read-off letter, and then you go over the hour power question with them. So if we're not doing a needs analysis for them, we could go over this. We could go over this probably right after we draw how much they need, before we show them 3 options. Because you're going to write down 3 options, option A, option B, option C. But before I wrote option A, option B, option C, what I did is I drew their need, and then I drew the timeline thing, the need and the timeline thing. That thing where it was, that little, that little need timeline thing, right? So right after we show them over time how your need goes down, I say, now Joe, for you, they're going to have 3 options for you to choose from. But first, they asked me to go over this mandatory read-off letter. And then after I go over the mandatory read-off letter, I go over the paragraph after, so basically Joe Mary's, I go through the benefits you're nodding your head, you think, wow, these are great benefits. They fit a need for your family. Ask you to qualify today. If you're nodding your head, you think they're great benefits. They don't fit a need for your family. They ask you to try and not qualify today. Either way, they do want to get a decision from you today, just as fairness to all the other members waiting to enroll. The nice thing about the benefits, though, they're pretty much a no-brainer. So you're going to know one way or not whether it fits a need for you and your family. They just wanted me to get through the whole thing, and then you say something silly like, you wanted to think about it. So they appreciate it, just yes or no one way or not. And then, what they said, Joe, is that let's say that you had to go into work on Monday and the boss put us all aside and he said, hey, things are going great. We all get an extra hour in our pay this week. That would feel pretty good, right? Yeah, but we're probably not going to run home and buy a new car and take a dream vacation, right? On the flip side, let's say the boss pulled us aside and said, hey, everybody, we're going to get cut back by an hour. So, you know, that might make a little bit of a difference, taking home 1 hour less for the week, but we're probably not going to go home and sell the car and cancel all of our vacation plans either. So whether we got an extra hour or lost that hour, either way doesn't make that big of a difference. So basically, Joe and Mary, when they set the benefits up for all their members, they took that into consideration and they felt they could take that 1 hour that doesn't make that big of a difference and put it towards something that would. And that's what they use as a premise to help protect our families, which is our most important thing that we have on this earth. So when they looked at these 3 options for you, Joe, option A would take into consideration in your situation about 3 hours. Option B would be 2 hours. Option C would be 1 hour. You know, maybe that might be what it'd be, right? And that's how I'll break it down for them as well. That's it. So option A, what that's going to do is going to be about $175 a week, right? And for you, you make what, $50 an hour? So that's about 3 hours of your time. Option B will be at about $122 a week. You make about $50, and that's about 2 hours of your time. And option B will be about $90 a week. You know, it'll be about 1.5 hours of your time. However you want to break it down for them. But you could break it down for them in weekly terms versus monthly terms, and then using hourly wages to even show them the cost. You know, because you got the agreement from them that they 1 hour isn't going to make a difference either way, right? So I love that, because even if I show him 3, I know I could reduce them to 1, because he told me 1 wouldn't make a difference, you know. But you always want to say 1 to 2. So if you went to work and the boss was giving us an extra 1 or 2 hours, we're not going to buy a new car. If they had to take 1 or 2 hours away, we're not going to sell our car. So it gives us a little bit more wiggle room. Does that help?
Makes sense. Yeah. I actually have one more question, if that's okay.
Yeah, I love it.
So if you're doing this type of format and like these type of scenarios, at what point would you get them to pull the policy, and how would you do it? Because like ours right now with what I'm doing, it's like after our needs analysis, and it's to like plug in what they have.
Yeah.
So like, would you do it before the like need versus time you get them to pull it, or how would you do that?
Yeah, so basically what I'm doing on this is just doing my own personal needs analysis, as you can see.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of what I'm doing,
Yeah.
is my own personal needs analysis. So I'm not taking their information and plugging into the needs analysis, which you could though. I mean, honestly, let's just pause for a second and just say, you guys, if you're new and you don't want to put the pressure on yourself to come up with these numbers, you can do this. You can say, Joe, here's whole life, here's term. Okay, now here's how the need works. Here's how the need works. Now I'm going to take your information. I'm going to put it into the needs analysis. It's going to show you what you need. If you wanted to do it that way, you could do it that way too. You don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, so you could go over, here's whole life, here's term, here's your need, here's how much you're going to need, but your need's going to change over time. And for us to figure out your need, what's nice is they have a needs analysis. It's going to tell us exactly what you need.
That could be where you're asking if they're a smoker, if you didn't find that out somehow.
Yep.
That could be where you ask them, you know, any of those, you know, that's going to change the rate immediately.
Yeah, and then right there you say, do you have coverage through work? Okay, do you have whole life coverage outside of work? And that's when you get the policies, right?
That makes sense.
Yeah, so honestly, if you wanted to keep it simple, you could just use the needs analysis and not put any pressure on yourself to figure that out. What I would do if I didn't have the needs analysis available is I would say, do you have any current coverages in place? You know, here's your need. I'd go over their need. Now, as far as this goes, you need 672,000, right? What do you currently have in place to take care of some of this?
That makes
Do you have
sense.
anything, you know, and I'd say, do you have anything through work?
That makes sense.
And they'll say, yeah. I'll say, okay, great. Here's what you have through work. Do you have anything outside of work? And that's where you could cover it then. Because first you want to establish the difference between whole life and term. Then you want to establish how their need's going to change and what their starting need is. Then you want to establish if they have any of that need covered. And then you help them fill in the gaps through our recommendations ABC or through the computer's recommendations needs analysis.
That makes sense.
Okay, I have a question.
Cause like for me, I don't, I got people that just want some life insurance. They want to talk life insurance. I'm not going to sit there and fill the whole needs analysis out for them because I already know they want it. But some people are union members And they're
Yeah.
sitting there thinking, why is this person calling me? Why are they trying to sell me this? Right? Why is he telling me I need that? Right? And for union people that don't know, it's not a referral, stuff like that. I don't want them to think I'm telling them that they need anything. I like it to be where the computer is telling them what they need. Now I'm removed from the situation. So that's what I love about the needs analysis is that it's like, well, why is this guy here? Well, I'm here because you filled out the card, dude. I don't want to be here. I'd rather be bike riding, with my team. We're all going biking, by the way, if I didn't mention that 75 times by now.
I'm gonna have to borrow my
All right?
dad's bike.
Yeah, borrow your dad's bike. I don't care. But I'd rather be biking. But you filled out your freaking card. So now I got to set up a Zoom call and meet with you and go over all this stuff. That's my job. The only reason I'm here is because I'm like handcuffed, That's my job. I'm doing my job. And then the only reason I'm not even telling you need this. The computer's telling you need this. So they're never going to be looking at you like, why is this guy here? He's here because he wants to come try and sell me something. No, I'm here because you filled this card out and this computer says you need this stuff. Right? So now it takes it away, it takes it off your plate. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Hey, I have a question here. So now that's with your needs, you're not necessarily trying to, if they have a policy, beat that policy. It's included almost no matter what, because we're not banging against term because they may already have a term.
Yeah.
So what you're really doing is you're not even trying to pull the policy to beat it. You just want to pull the policy so you can actually include it.
Educate them. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you want to pull the policy because you're the professional.
Right.
Because they go like this. Oh yeah, I got a 20-year term. It's for $40,000. Okay, let me see that just to make sure I'm the professional here, right? And you pull it up, and it's a freaking accidental death benefit policy for $200,000. Like none of it was even right what the person said or thought. And usually they think they have more than they really have. And I like that because like the guy's like, oh yeah, I got a $50,000 whole life. And then I pull it up and it's a $25,000 term. Well, that's easy sell for me. He thought he had 50. I could sell him another 25 right there.
Right.
So you always want to have them pull the policy just so that you can, number one, do your job properly. I'm trying to put proper coverage in place for the family. He told me he got 100,000. So now he needs 500. So now I sell him 400, assuming he got another 100. Then he dies and his family gets 400 from our company. He gets 0 from the other company because he didn't have 100 from the other company. But his family was supposed to get how much? 500. You know what I mean? So I need to pull the policy so I can do my job properly, so I can educate the client on really what they have. I'm not trying to beat, stuff will beat up itself. I don't need to beat that stuff up. And if he actually has life insurance, which he probably don't, good. It's never going to be enough. And it's probably the wrong kind.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Never going to be enough. It's probably, most people, there's 3 things. They're either uninsured, underinsured, or improperly insured. And the 3 reasons is because they were uneducated, undereducated, or improperly educated on life insurance. So our job is to go in there, and if somebody is underinsured, it's because they're uneducated. So our job is, we know we got to work, we got to educate this person. If we go in there and someone is underinsured, that means they're undereducated. That means they have some education in this, but they don't have enough. We need to fill in those gaps. We need to fully educate them. And if somebody goes in there, they're either uninsured, underinsured, or improperly insured. And if they're improperly insured, that means they have been improperly educated. And now I know they were taught some wrong stuff. I need to maybe relearn, maybe re-erase, maybe reteach this person a different perspective on things a little bit. So that's why I say educate them, on what they have. And the only time, you'd want to, even beat anything up, it's not even beating, I can't even say beating it up because it'll beat itself up, is educating the client on their universal policy, So if you know how to, educate a client on their universal policy, that would be the only time I really get into to any major details as far as their life insurance, you know. But that's when you want to pull the policy, why you want to pull the policies, is really just to figure out how much they have so we can help fill in those gaps.
Tommy, quick question. How do I go about when they tell me, because I have a lot of friends like this in this situation, and I'm trying to figure out how to approach it, but I'm trying to retrain myself when it comes to this. Military insurance. They've been in the military for a long time. They tell me they know they have insurance through the military, but they have no idea what the coverage is because it's been for so long. They just know that the money keeps coming out of their paycheck. They have no clue whatsoever what the coverage is for.
Yeah.
How do I work that out?
So, literally from my experience, and we have a lot of military people in our company. In fact, like if you guys even wanted to like look at recruiting, there's a lot of people from the military that do very well in our company. If you get the right people, you know, obviously they got that work ethic and all that. But anyways, all the military people in our company have told me that all that SGLI is term life insurance for when you're there. You know, Daquan's here. He could give us a better idea.
Absolutely. I actually just sent that message in there. I have a link I can share with you guys. I'm fully dressed, by the way. I just don't have my button-up shirt on, but I'm just enjoying a little bit of weather out here. But more or less, service group life insurance is the SGLI, which you receive while you're in the military. VGLI, this is veterans group life insurance. Those are both term insurance. The rates increase as you get older. They don't tell you that while you're in the military because you get a whole bunch for a very, very small price, like we tell them. But more or less, I actually have a link I can share with you guys.
Awesome.
You just show them the link.
Yeah,
it's under 65 for 400,000 coverage. It's like $1,400.
So Matt Brown saw the link. He beat it last week.
Yeah.
He said Matt Brown said he literally just showed the guy the link, and it showed him how much it's going to cost.
You just go
And, you know,
or whatever it is. The Daycon will show you the link.
I think the problem with the military is that they are literally brainwashed to think that it lasts them for, I don't know why, but like everybody I talk to in the military, literally, they'll like fight me tooth and nail trying to tell me it's going to last them forever. Oh no, I get it for all my life. And they just think that. And really the only way to do it is to show them. You know, you got to show them the link, you know, and just show them. And I honestly think some people still don't believe it.
Sure.
You know, they don't want to believe it. They don't want to believe it, you know? So anyways, that's my take on it. I've been beat by the stuff before. I've been beat by it before. And then I learned, and I brought the everywhere I went, we didn't have like cell phones. I had a BlackBerry back in the day, guys. You know, I was selling life insurance with a BlackBerry. So I didn't have all this stuff to pull right up. We didn't have laptops. I had a pen and a paper, a BlackBerry, a freedom of choice certificate, and a rate book. You know what I'm saying? I was literally running around town with this stuff. This is all I had in my BlackBerry, and I was selling policies. So I didn't have a link. I actually had a form, like a sheet we had to print out and make copies of at the office and hand out to everybody. We had to carry it around with us in our pitch book. And if I met somebody, I had to go in there and pull it out and show them. So that helped me a lot when I had that to show as well. But good question. Good question. Thank you, Daquan, on clarifying that as well. Yeah. Good question.
What vet at 65 has got $600 a month to spare?
Yeah.
I don't know any.
That's a good question. Any other questions?
So when they do have a policy, we do get it. You know, it's not. We kind of want to pat them on the back for having a policy. Hey, at least you were thinking about, you know, providing for your family, you know, after you pass
yeah,
on.
I'll say that's good.
But, you know, this may or may not be exactly what you need, right? Like, and then just
for veterans or what?
For just anybody.
For anybody.
Anybody.
Yeah. I would say that's great. You got your coverage in place. You know, I won't even say that may or may not be.
Yeah.
Just compliment them on and keep it moving.
Yeah.
And it'll pop up. It'll sort of pop up there. But you know, I got a guy who he wants life insurance for his family, but he also wants to sell life insurance. So what I have to do is I have to sell it to him in a very easy way for him to understand, so that he can say to himself, I can do this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, so that's going to be my challenge with this guy.
Yeah.
You know, but anyways, I don't know. You guys got any other questions? Anything else we can rock on the sales? That's, you know, hopefully that helped a lot. And we're going to keep working on these and keep doing these and role playing. And, you know, like I said, get me in on some presentations. I'll talk to people about the life insurance too.
I think it's super important for everyone to do this on a piece of, either a piece of paper or on a board.
Yeah.
Every single time, right? Everyone should be doing it.
Yeah.
Tommy, you know what I feel like? I feel like with the moves we've been learning recently, like I'm just doing the pick and roll. But I feel like I just learned the triangle right now.
Just up the game.
Just up the game.
That's right. We're gonna keep learning more. But please do not underestimate the pick and roll. That's my favorite play in basketball ever.
You and Drew.
I love the pick and roll, man. I love it. I love it. I love it. Hey, I watched, dude. I was watching the last. Who won the NBA championship last time? Was it the Golden State?
No, Toronto.
Toronto won. Yeah. He hit that. But the last time that the Cavs were playing the Golden State Warriors, and the Golden State Warriors beat them, right?
Oh, they were down 3-1.
The Golden State Warriors won, and then the next year the Cavs won. Or something.
Cavs won it, right? With their big season.
I watched that game, and I swear I was watching the whole thing. They literally beat them with the pick and roll. I was pausing the game, and my dad was in the kitchen, and I'm having my dad come in here. I'm like, Dad, watch this play. It is the most basic, fundamental play in basketball history, the pick and roll. We're in the NBA championship game, the most elite basketball players on earth, and he just got beat with the pick and roll. How you get beat on a pick and roll? Steph Curry, burn him on it. You know what I'm saying? Don't underestimate the pick and roll, guys. Don't underestimate the most basic fundamentals in the business, man. Don't underestimate that freedom of choice pitch. The most basic fundamental pitch is going like this. Joe, you're 30. You're going to live to be 85. Here's your life expectancy. You're going to live 35 years. Show them that. Next thing, show them how much a funeral is going to cost 30 years from now. Next thing, show them a freedom of choice certificate and say, here's what the freedom of choice certificate is going to do for you and your family. Make it like it's the best thing since sliced bread. And you say, here's what we're going to do. You have three options. You can put 50, 40, or 30 on your freedom of choice certificate, A, B, or C. Okay, let's see which one you can qualify for. And I could pitch freedom of choice certificates all day long, just walking around saying, here's your life expectancy. Here's how much a funeral is going to cost when you die. Here's the solution, freedom of choice certificate. Here's your three options for it, right? Let's see if you can qualify. So, you know, some basics will take you a long way as well. Can't wait to talk more with you guys. We'll line up another call as soon as possible, whenever you guys can handle more of me. I feel like I can talk you guys to death. So maybe Friday, maybe early next week. I'm ready to go whenever you guys are. We'll line another one of these up. So, hey, let's have a great day today. Let's get out there. Let's get some appointments set. Let's book some families. Make sure we're doing the on-the-phone call thing I told you guys about so we get that show ratio down. Cool? All right, appreciate y'all. Let's get it.
Thanks, Tommy.